Good evening and welcome to the January 22nd, 2024 Farmington Hills City Council meeting, regular session. And we always begin our session with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I see that we have Mr. Sweeney from the Emergency Preparedness Commission, and if he would please lead us this evening. All rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And roll call, please.
Council members Aldred.
Here.
Bolaware.
Here.
Bridges.
Here.
Bruce.
Here.
Knoll.
Here.
Mayor Rich.
I'm here.
And we will note that Council member Dwyer is absent.
Thank you. And the first item on the agenda is approval of our regular session meeting agenda. Is there a motion? Ms. Knoll?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular session meeting agenda for January 22.
Thank you. Is there support?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce. It's been moved and supported. All in, this is a, regular vote. Okay, thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. Agenda approved. And we have a happy event for item number 2, the administration of the oath to our new city clerk, Carly Lindahl. And I'd like to acknowledge that our most recent city clerk is with us here as well.
Where is she at? Where's Pam?
Where are you, Pam? There we are. And the oath is going to be administered by the Honorable Marla Parker.
So thank you so much, members of council, Madam Mayor, for inviting me to administer this oath to Carly Lindahl, who is going to succeed a long line of superstar clerks. And we know that you will be the new superstar at a job that is increasingly busy and complex. We appreciate your willingness to serve. And if you would raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan and the Charter of the City of Farmington Hills in the County of Oakland, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of City Clerk of the City of Farmington Hills according to the best of your ability? Congratulations.
And while our clerk is signing, we are going to see if there is any correspondence. Council members, any correspondence you would like to share tonight? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine, administrative, or non-controversial by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the items may be removed from the consent agenda for consideration, and the consent agenda will be read by Mayor Pro Tem Bridges.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 7, recommended adoption of a resolution designating Karen Medora as acting city manager in the absence of the city manager. Item 8, recommended approval of award of contract for the City Hall campus refueling system replacement project to R.W. Mercer Company in the amount of $2,460,000 and $460,900, CMR 124-05. Item 9, recommend approval of a purchase of digital forensic analysis software training and licensing to Magnet Forensics LLC in the amount of $31,420. This is CMR 124-06. Item 10, recommend approval of a purchase of emergency vehicle lighting for emergency vehicles from Priority 1 Emergency in the approximate cost amount of $25,000, CMR 124-07. Item 11, recommend approval of an extension of an agreement for the 2024 Spring Summer Citywide Planting Program with Crimboli Nursery Incorporated. This is CMR 12408. Item 12, acknowledgement of the second quarter financial summary and quarterly investment reports. Item 13, recommend approval of an award of bid for gas and diesel fuel to RK Petroleum Company, Marathon Flint Oil Company Incorporated, and GN Oil Company for a 2-year period with an option for 2-year extension, CMR 12409. Item 14, recommend approval of a City Council Goal Study Session meeting minutes of January 6, 2024. Item 15, recommend approval of City Council Study Session meeting minutes of January 8, 2024. And item 16, recommended approval of the City Council regular session meeting minutes of January 8, 2024.
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion, please. Oh, Dr. Bruce.
Madam Mayor, I would move the approval of the consent agenda, items 7 through 16, as read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Aldred. Okay, and this is a roll call vote.
Council members Knoll,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Bridges.
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Aldred,
Yes.
Mayor Rich.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, we are now moving into public question and comments. And for those of you watching on TV or YouTube or streaming, or maybe later after the session, just letting you know, this is the fullest I have ever seen a council chambers today. So because we have some new people who are coming to chambers, I'm just going to go through the rules for public comment, and then I have a statement I would like to make. So public comment is something that's really important in democracy. And so for those of you coming to speak this evening, thank you. We will listen attentively, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. So there are some guidelines for public comment. You do not need to complete a blue form, although a number of you have, and so we will be following the people who filled out a blue form requesting first, and then anyone who would like to make comment after that. And as you can see, we have quite a stack. Once those are done, feel free to line up, and we'll take you one at a time. When you come to the podium, and for those of you who may not be physically able to come to the podium, please let us know, and we will make sure a microphone can come to you. But when it is your time, please come to the center podium, speak into the microphone. We ask that people please state their name before addressing council, but do not state your address. Public comment is limited to 5 minutes per person. And so when you're down to 2 minutes, I will let you know. When you're down to 1 minute, I will let you know. When your time is up, I will let you know. And after that, please don't make me gavel you down. I don't want to be rude. When you give your comments, public comments, the way that works is you are addressing council. Now, public comment is the opportunity for community members to come and state what they have to say and what they would like to share. We as council do not engage with you. And I've had some feedback from other forums that people get disappointed that they're not getting engagement with council or a board. That's not the role of public comment. If you want to have engagement and back and forth conversation, I'll be hosting coffee hours in the next month or so. They'll be noticed, come to that, and we can have conversation. Feel free to reach out to any of the council members. I know a lot of people have been emailing with us, and we thank you for that. But understand that this is your opportunity to address us. We will not be engaging with you. So before we get disappointment, we might as well have expectations, right? Okay. The other thing is that we're of the understanding, because we've had a number of phone calls and emails and so on, asking us to take action in regard to something that is not within the jurisdiction of our city to do. And so a resolution was passed in 2005, And I'm going to read that resolution this evening so that you can hear it. And it's going to let you know that while you may be coming in with public comment, and again, we will hear everyone, and once we've gone for a couple hours, we may take a little break and then hit again. But we want you to hear what has already been established as Farmington Hills policy. So this is how we operate. So in 2005, at a regular meeting of the City Council of City of Farmington Hills, and all council members at that time were present, there was a resolution and preamble offered, and here's what it says. It says, whereas it is recognized that foreign policy and diplomacy are usually handled at the federal and to some extent the state levels of government, and whereas for this reason, the City Council of the City of Farmington Hills wishes to establish a policy that it will not in the future consider resolutions or proclamations regarding foreign policy or diplomacy, and therefore it is hereby resolved that the City of Farmington Hills will no longer adopt resolutions or make proclamations regarding foreign policy or diplomacy in other countries. This resolution is not intended to preclude the recognition or welcoming of foreign dignitaries visiting the city. And so this was signed on November 29th, 2005. Now here's the thing, folks. Farmington Hills is one of the most diverse cities of its size in the United States. And that's why so many of us chose it and continue to choose it every day. And for that reason, we do not tolerate hate. We do not tolerate hate speech. We look to hear all voices. And in this room, we have a whole lot of voices represented today, and we look forward to hearing from all of you. But understand, this council will not be making a resolution because it is our long-established policy that we do not. And so with that, I am going to begin public comment. And the first one that we have is Azam Khan, followed by Rania Masri. I can't read everybody's writing, so I can't tell if it's Masri or Masi. Okay, go ahead. And your
Good
5 minutes
evening,
begins now.
respected mayor, respected city council members and city officials. My name is Asim Khan. I've been a resident of Farmington Hills for 30 years plus. I also ran for the city council last November. And again, I came with a request of having this resolution on the agenda for next meeting, and I hope we pass this unanimously. What I look at the 2005 policy that was enacted by the city council, it is nothing written in stone. I'm sure you can find a way around it if you really want, if there is a will. The reason why I say that is because things have changed since 2005. The world has become more global. The city has become more diverse. We had only one mosque in 2005. Now we have 3. And apart from that, the population diversity demographics has changed quite a bit. So that, I believe, has become obsolete. That policy needs to be relooked at and revised. But you guys need to know,
Okay.
you guys need to.
I'm sorry, Azam, one thing. There will be no clapping, cheering, outbursts of any kind. This is Azam's time, Mr. Khan's time to speak. And so we don't have any sort of response either during or after. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Khan.
So coming back to what I was trying to say is the population has changed, the demographics have changed, the world has changed. And in this particular conflict, what the problem is, our own country is taking a side. And we are sitting here as helpless citizens, and we cannot do anything even on humanitarian grounds. Our president is not listening to us. Our senators, our congressmen, they're not listening to us. So we start at the bottom. We start with you guys. The next step, I know we talked about this, it's symbolic, it doesn't get much done, but this is a start. We have to start at the bottom. All politics is local. We start here, then we take it to the state level, then we'll take it to the national level. And this being an election year, can you please take care of this, please? Thank you. We need to know who we should vote for in the next election. You know, I ran for city council. I got 2,628 votes. And I know the mayoral race was off by 500 votes. And between the second, third, and fourth position in the city council, they were only off by 1,000 votes. I have here more than 2,000 people sitting or watching. And I want to know where each one of you stand on this issue. This is a very critical issue for me and a lot of people I know who are here. And you put it on the agenda and you vote the way you want to vote. At least we'll know which side each one of you lean, so that when the next election comes, we know who to vote for. This is where I'm going with this. And talking about globalization, we already had our local terrorist, Carl Mintz, who was the first one to threaten Arabs to kill. He lives right here on Orchard Lake and 13 Mile. He got arrested for that. We have been made the scapegoat as terrorists since I don't know how long. You know, if you look at what's coming out, all those conspiracy theories are coming true. How our nation sided and destroyed other democracies in all over the world. And we just pledged the allegiance. What do you say? Liberty and peace for all, right? Irrespective of where you live. And this is where I implore you to look at your humanitarian side and review and revisit that policy and change it and put the resolution on the agenda for the next meeting and vote. That's all I'm asking for you. Thank you. That's all I need. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, Rania, is it Massey or Masri? Masri, thank you, followed by Farrakhan.
Hello, council members. My name is Rania Masri, and I first became a resident of Farmington Hills when I was 3 and lived in Michigan for most of my life. Today, I stand before you not just as a proud resident of this beautiful and diverse city, but as a mother, a Muslim, and an Arab American deeply concerned about the safety of my family and my community. For the past 3 months, my neighbors, friends, and community members, for the past 3.5 months, have been living in constant fear for their loved ones living in Gaza, traumatized by the photos and videos of people being killed daily, and grieving the loss of countless family members and relatives. Many of us have been following the reports of journalists there, only to mourn their losses in direct strikes on their homes and their cars. It hits close to home. My son was staring intently at a scrolling list of the over 12,000 children in Gaza killed by Israeli airstrikes, ground invasions, and white phosphorus in the last 3.5 months. He told me he was counting the instances of his own name appearing in the list. This reality affects us deeply. Our sense of security was further shaken when a Farmington Hills man was arrested for planning violence against Arabs. Learning about the stabbing of a Palestinian boy the same age as my son in his own home and the shooting of an imam outside his mosque has heightened our fears. As a result, at my children's school, where a significant number of Arab Americans and Muslims attend, we've had to conduct a security audit and hire private security. Parents are questioning the safety of their children playing outside. The resolution we seek, advocating for a ceasefire and a stand against hate and discrimination, represents more than a political statement. It's a reassurance to us, your constituents, that our safety and inclusion are valued. National surveys show that a majority of Americans want a ceasefire, and calls are growing. So this resolution represents all of those voices. There's no time to waste in getting this resolution passed. A child in Gaza is killed every 10 minutes, according to the WHO. Even more are expected to die due to disease and starvation than from the bombings, due to the blockade of food, water, and medical supplies. International responses like those in Spain and the massive rally of 500,000 people in Washington, D.C., reflect the global and American call for peace and an end to the massacre of a vulnerable population. Cities across the nation are passing ceasefire resolutions that represent their communities, and locally, including Ypsilanti, Canton, Detroit, Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, Ann Arbor, and just last week, the Ann Arbor Public School System. Wayne and Washtenaw counties, along with United auto workers, and teachers' unions have joined them in the call for an end to the killing. Even corporations like Ben & Jerry's have said it's time for corporations to speak up. The bottom line is staying silent is being complicit in the killing and the genocide. This is a pivotal moment in our history, and your response will be remembered. I urge you as our representatives to consider this resolution not as a political choice, but as a moral imperative. The decision to support a ceasefire and stand against hate is not just the right thing to do, it's a necessary step towards ensuring that everyone in our community feels safe and included. Thank you for your time and for considering this critical issue. Your actions today will echo in our community's history.
Thank you. Okay. Farah Khan, followed by Miranda Al-Mahari. And so that we can keep moving, if you're on deck, please come up toward the podium. Good evening.
Respected members of City Council, good evening. My name is Farah Khan, and I am a resident of Northville City. Well, partly Northville, partly Farmington Hills, I'm in both. It's just complicated. I'm deeply troubled and devastated by the ongoing Israeli actions amounting to genocide against Palestinians. I am calling on my council to introduce a ceasefire resolution and pass it to add to the growing number of local cities in Michigan calling for an end to the violence. Life in Gaza is as precious as anywhere else in the world. It must be protected with the same commitment, rigor, and devotion. You may or may not be aware that Israel has imposed a complete siege on Gaza, resulting in massive losses of innocent civilian lives and violating international law. According to Euromed Human Rights Watch, the death toll has surpassed 25,000, with the majority being women and children. As the bombardments continue and as bodies continue to be found under the rubble. White phosphorus bombs have been used against civilians sheltering in schools. 30% of deaths were in southern Gaza, while civilians fled after Israel warned those in the north to evacuate. Furthermore, Palestinians with long-term illnesses like diabetes, heart conditions, well, that's been gone. So, challenges and death due to inability to seek medical treatment because the entire healthcare system was sabotaged by the airstrikes and ground invasions. Now there is no one hospital remains. And if that was not enough, Israeli bulldozers ran over more than 20 sick and injured civilians and buried them alive in Kamal Adwan Hospital a few weeks ago. The hospitals in Gaza are besieged, and the snipers are killing anyone moving in the hospitals. For a week now, or 2 weeks, no one has moved. We fully understand that as a city council, there are constraints on taking a stance in international matters, such as the Israel-Palestine conflict. However, we also recognize that many members of our community are deeply affected by these events. Their pain and concern are real and palpable. In this context, we believe that the city can still play a vital role. It's not about intervening in foreign policy, but about showing support and understanding for those among us who are hurting. By acknowledging their feelings, facilitating community dialogue, and reinforcing our shared values of compassion and empathy, we can contribute positively. Our humanity is currently experiencing a profound, challenging, and dark period. I'm asking my city, Farmington Hills, to introduce and pass a ceasefire resolution. I rely on your commitment to address the concerns of your constituents and uphold the common good. Urgently advocating for a ceasefire not only aligns with the majority's wishes, but also emphasizes our dedication to prioritizing humanity here in Farmington Hill. This stance firmly rejects any discrimination based on religion or nationality, sending a clear message against hatred and misinformation, and also communicates our intolerance for discrimination against Muslims, Arabs, Palestinians, Jews, or those expressing solidarity with Palestine. I request the City Council to pass a resolution that includes demanding an immediate and durable ceasefire while ensuring the delivery of essential humanitarian and medical assistance and the release of hostages in Gaza, Palestinian territory, and Israel.
One minute.
Calling for a release of hostages and all Palestinian prisoners, working towards the right, dignity, and self-determination of all. Our neighbors in Detroit, Ypsilanti, Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, and Ann Arbor and most recently Canton, have called for a ceasefire. There are more cities in Michigan following suit. They have recognized that a humanitarian pause is nothing short of dehumanizing. Thank you for your time. I want to insist that a ceasefire is in no way an inflammatory language or anti-Semitic. This issue matters to us as Michiganders, with a significant Palestinian and Jewish population demanding an end to the genocide. Thank you.
Miranda Al Harik, followed by Rahaf Khatib.
Good evening, Farmington Hills residents and City Council members. My name is Miranda, and my family and I have been residents for almost 2 years now, and we chose to buy our first home in Farmington Hills specifically because of the beautiful diversity and safety of this community. However, recently we have begun to feel unsafe in our own community, and I've had to have incredibly difficult conversations with my kids about the hate and vitriol directed at them simply for being Palestinian. My kids, who are constantly worried about their grandparents, aunts, uncles' safety in the occupied Palestinian territories, now have to worry about their own safety right here in Farmington Hills, after they heard about the Farmington Hills man who went to Dearborn specifically searching for Palestinians to kill. They also have cousins who live near the neighborhood in Chicago where a 6-year-old Palestinian-American child was stabbed to death. It is sickening to see our hard-earned tax dollars going to a foreign country who is murdering our own people. Just last week, a Palestinian-American kid from Louisiana was shot and killed in the West Bank town of Ramallah, where my in-laws live. How can I explain to my kids that they have a target on their backs simply for being Palestinian? We need the support and reassurance of our elected officials that our lives matter and that our safety is a priority, which is why we implore you to call for a ceasefire and end this horrific genocide taking place. This is a humanitarian crisis which no one in this country should stay silent about. We will not forget or forgive our local elected officials who stay silent at the expense of our safety and our security here in Farmington Hills. And you can be sure that our kids growing up witnessing these atrocities will be the change that puts people over politics. Thank you.
And then Rahaf will be followed by Sarah Ahmed.
Peace be upon you all and good evening. My name is Rahaf Khatib, a proud resident of Farmington Hills for 16 years now. As a member of Governor Whitmer's Council on Physical Fitness, Health and Sports, and a passionate runner, you might have seen me running in the streets of Farmington Hills. Running isn't just a hobby for me. It's been a powerful tool in fighting Islamophobia and breaking stereotypes, as evidenced by my feature on the cover of Women's Running magazine in 2016. I've always believed in the intersection of sports and humanitarian causes. Mandela's quote, "Sports has the power to change the world," encompasses my desire and passion to do just that. My journey has taken me from raising funds for Syrian refugees in Michigan while training for the Boston Marathon to supporting Palestinian women during my preparation for the Palestine Marathon. Back in March, I ran my 30th half marathon in Bethlehem, Palestine. In Bethlehem, I met Muhammad Al-Asi, a remarkable Palestinian marathoner. He's well known for his speed and his passion for the sport. Muhammad's dream was to race globally, is hindered by his status as a refugee in his own country. I was floored to learn that Muhammad was tragically detained by Israeli forces in April, an unjust action that deeply affected me. My friend Muhammad is among thousands who suffer imprisonment without a just cause or a just trial. Today, I stand before you not just to advocate for my fellow athlete and friend Muhammad, but to urge you to introduce and pass a ceasefire resolution. Cities, counties, schools, businesses, and organizations across Michigan and the U.S. have recognized the need for this action. Farmington Hills has the opportunity to join this call for justice and humanity. Our stance against systematic oppression and injustice is vital. The ongoing conflict has led to thousands of Palestinian casualties, including children, a burden on our collective conscience. Let's not be bystanders in history. I implore you to pass a ceasefire resolution for Muhammad, for humanity, and for the ethical use of our tax dollars. It's a step towards justice and a testament to our beautiful and diverse city of Farmington Hills. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Ahmed, followed by Mike Sweeney.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sarah Ahmed, a lifelong resident of Farmington Hills. Born and raised here, I've watched our city evolve and grow, deeply shaping the person I am today. As a young adult in this vibrant community, I've been fortunate to immerse myself in its diverse facets, from academic pursuits to professional commitments, from nurturing friendships to active civic participation. Each of those roles has offered me a unique perspective and fostered my appreciation for our city's rich diversity and inclusive spirit. Today I stand before you, much like every individual here, to voice my concern about an issue that is not only close to my heart, but also significantly impacts our community. The ongoing humanitarian crisis in Palestine has profoundly resonated within Farmington Hills, affecting us at a fundamental level. The relentless coverage of brave journalists has not only brought us face to face with the suffering of others, but also instilled in us a profound sense of empathy and an urge to act. But my primary concern today is the reflection of these global events in our city. Farmington Hills, known for its diversity, is full of cultures, each celebrated and embraced. This diversity is not just a statistic. It is our strength, the soul of our community. We have 4 mosques in Farmington Hills, and I often go to Tawhid Center. The Tawhid Center is located right next to a church. Initially, this struck me as unusual, but it has since come to symbolize the harmony that defines our community. The symbolic proximity of places of worship mirrors the unity we can achieve in supporting peace and understanding worldwide. Whether participating in activities at Heritage Park or attending events at the Caustic Center, I'm constantly reminded of our shared values and heritage, seeing people from various backgrounds come together in unity. Farmington Hills has consistently stood against hate and division, a testament to our global awareness and compassion. Our engagement with international issues is not just a matter of foreign policy, but a reflection of our core values as a community. We don't just embrace diversity, we actively extend our support and empathy to global causes that resonate with our residents. As we evolve and diversify, our city's response to international events defines our identity and values. Therefore, I urge the council to not only listen, but to take action. Let's show that Farmington Hills is more than a city of diverse individuals. It's a community of diverse and meaningful actions. Let's strive to be a beacon of hope, empathy, and solidarity in a world that desperately needs it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sweeney, followed by Joshua Feinstein.
Madam Mayor, members of council, city staff, my name is Mike Sweeney. I'm one of your preparedness commissioners. And for the last 3 months, we've been giving a monthly tip on how to prepare your homes for the coming winter. Well, winter is here. But just a quick review, we talked about laying in supplies of food, water, and health maintenance medicines in your home. We talked about the proper operations and maintenance of kerosene heaters, other space heaters, generators, especially carbon monoxide detectors. But today we'd like to talk about that next level of protection, taking care of the home itself. Right now, while your houses are well lit, you have heat, your water is working, now is the time to go around and find where your water meter is, where your gas meter is, where your electrical shut-off panel is, so that if you have a leak in your house, you know where to go and turn off the water. Maybe you even have tools staged by there. Maybe it's a handle, maybe you need a pair of pliers. But to be able to turn off the water before it does further damage to your house. We would also caution you that if you turn off the water in your house, also turn off your hot water heater. Like a coffee pot that's perking, you don't want your hot water heater down there continuing to boil the water out if there's no water coming back in. You should know where your sump pump is. And before you go into a basement full of water and the sump pump is not running, you should ask yourself, where's the power going that was running the sump pump? Because if it's in the water, you don't want to go in the water. All these things you do so that you can protect your health, safety, and welfare, and also protect the operation of your home. And we ask that you talk with your insurance agent, have him come and review your house. They will do a safety check of your house and let you know if your coverage is going to protect you. If the water comes through the hole in the roof and you don't have the appropriate coverage, you now have a roof and a drywall you have to repair. If the water's coming up through the sewers, well, that's a whole nother conversation I'd just soon skip. If it's coming out of your walls, out of your pipes, you're going to have to fix that as well. But you could fix that in advance by having your insurance agent come and walk through the house and do that safety risk. We have monthly meetings, bi-monthly meetings. Our next meeting is Monday, March 4th. We would like to invite the entire community to stop by and participate in the conversations. They're right here at City Hall. In fact, they're right next door at the Community Center. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Joshua Feinstein, followed by Halima Halilovic. Joshua Feinstein? Okay. Halima Halilovic, followed by, one moment, Mohammed Halilovic.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Halima Halilovic, and I'm a high school student here in Farmington Hills. These past few months have been challenging for me. As I sit in class, I find my thoughts drifting to kids in Gaza, whose lives are so different from mine. This contrast reminds me of my own fortune and the misfortune of others. This conflict isn't a distant tragedy. It's a reality for some of my friends here in Farmington Hills who are Palestinian. They have lost their family members in the Gaza bombings, and witnessing their pain has been heart-wrenching for me. This war feels close to home, touching our diverse Jewish, Muslim, and Christian communities right here in Farmington Hills. I strongly believe that violence and war are not solutions. That's why I'm reaching out to our community for support. Farmington Hills is more than just my home. It's a community known for compassion and action. I'm here to ask the Farmington Hills City Council to consider a resolution calling for a ceasefire. By advocating for peace in Gaza and Palestine, we can demonstrate that even teenagers in Michigan are committed to peace and justice. Though I'm young, I have faith in our community's ability to affect change. Our collective voice, though small, has the potential to send a powerful message to the world. Thank you for listening, and I hope we can unite and support what is just and right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed Halilovic, followed by Sumaya M. Evening.
Dear City Council members, respected community leaders, and fellow residents of Farmington Hills, my name is Mohammed Halilovic. Today, I speak to you both as a proud member of our diverse community and as a survivor of genocide in Bosnia and Herzegovina during the 1992 to 1995 war. I experienced these horrors as a young teenager before finding refuge here in the United States. Farmington Hills has been a sanctuary for me, a place where I've built my life and raised my 4 children. Yet the ongoing conflict in Palestine revives painful memories reminiscent of my past traumas. For over 100 days, stories of suffering in Palestine have reached my family, deeply affecting my children. As a survivor, I know too well the long-lasting scars war leaves on individuals and communities. Our city, celebrated for its diversity, now faces a challenge. The crisis in Palestine impacts not just those directly involved, but also our community, influencing our children's sense of safety and security. Having endured war, I understand the weight of conflict and hate. This personal journey compels me to urge our City Council to adopt a ceasefire resolution for Palestine. Our community, known for standing against hate and violence, must now extend our empathy and solidarity globally. I envision a Farmington Hills that champions peace worldwide. By supporting a ceasefire, We affirm our commitment to a world without violence, setting an example for our children and future generations. I appeal to the City Council to recognize the effects of the Palestine conflict on our community and to take a stand for peace. Let our city continue to be a symbol of unity, compassion, and support for all people. Thank you for considering our plea. I trust that Farmington Hills will lead with empathy and a dedication to peace, both locally and globally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Sumaya M. will be followed by Aziz Smedi.
Good evening. My name is Sumaya Mustafa. I'm a Farmington Hills resident. We're fully aware that introducing a ceasefire won't stop the bloodshed, murder, harm in Palestine. However, proclaiming injustice is a first step to rectifying an ongoing violation of human rights. To put this in perspective, on January 31st, 1865, 13th Amendment was declared to end slavery. 1910, drinking and driving became illegal in New York. August 18, 1920, 19th Amendment was ratified for a woman's right to vote. 1938, Fair Labor Standards was enacted. June 18, 1904, the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act was instituted. 1954, Brown versus Education. 1970, domestic violence was treated as a serious crime. 1984, seatbelts laws became mandatory in New York. November 1989, smoking was banned from all airline flights. And finally, in June 30th, 2023, the hands-free law took effect in Michigan. These are only 10 examples how the U.S. took accountability by righting a wrong, which makes me wonder, when and how much longer will it take for us to simply acknowledge that what is happening in Palestine, to acknowledge what is happening in Palestine and call it what it is: terrorism, genocide, apartheid, racism, misogyny, ethnic cleansing, and the list goes on. Let us as a community stand on the side of the right side of the history. So when our next generation asks us what we did for the innocent civilians in Palestine, for Palestinian lives that were lost, we can say we supported a ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Aziz Smedi.
evening.
Yep, good evening. To be followed by Idris Khan.
Good evening, respected mayor and council members. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and express the urgency of an immediate, permanent ceasefire in Gaza. The magnitude of atrocities committed and imposed starvation against innocent civilians have been devastating, and it has been going on for a long time. Farmington Hills is a diverse community, and we as constituents of this great city would love to voice our disapproval of the crimes taking place in Gaza. We can't just sit and watch massacres take place and stay silent. As a community with great leadership, empathy and compassion should lead the way during these hard times. As this war escalates, we continue to see hate crimes and tension on the rise in our community. For the protection of all members in our community, we urge you to demand a permanent ceasefire. Not only will that create a safer environment for all members of our community, but it will make a statement that we care about fellow human beings. As leaders of this community, we urge you to take a stand that says our city stands with peace and humanity. That means a permanent ceasefire so humanitarian aid can enter Gaza. We are used to thinking that there's always two sides for every conflict. However, this particular conflict has three sides, and the third side is our humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one moment. Okay, Idris Khan to be followed by Rumasa Khan.
Hello, my name is Idris Khan. I grew up in Farmington Hills. I also play soccer for the Farmington Fury. Kids should feel safe. Kids in Palestine are not safe right now. No one is listening to them as they ask for peace. It makes me feel sad that no one is listening to them. It makes me wonder, if I felt unsafe, would anyone listen to me? Would my city council help me make me feel safe? Before coming, I asked my mom if it was safe for me to speak, and she said yes because Farmington Hills protects its citizens. Today you can call for a ceasefire, and that would make me feel safe knowing my city supports peace. If the action for ceasefire stops all kids in Palestine from dying, then it would also make a lot of kids in Farmington Hills not have to be sad about our brothers and sisters in Palestine anymore. Please support peace. Please call for a ceasefire.
Thank you. Okay, one moment, please. Rumaisa Khan, followed by Naima Khan. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Ramesa Khan. I am a 7th grader. I go to one of the Farmington Hills schools. I play on the Farmington Fusion, and I also play on one of the Farmington Hills volleyball teams. I have written a poem called Love, Hardship, and Fear, and it's about the genocide in Palestine and how it affects me.
Before you do your poem, can you move the microphone a little closer so everyone can hear you? Thank you.
Love, hardship, fear. Love for a city, love for peace, love for diversity. This is Farmington Hills, my city. Hardships are addressed by communities coming together. Hardships kids like me are facing include feeling unheard, feeling unsafe, feeling like our government doesn't care about us kids. Hardships are addressed by Farmington Hills, my city. Fear is the truth of children in Palestine. Fear of lack of representation from my city is what I face. Fear can only be addressed by love. Love for our city, love for peace, love for diversity. This is Farmington Hills, my city. Be the city that speaks for peace, that represents kids, that understands that today's kids are tomorrow's future. And how you respond to our requests for peace today will impact us forever. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your poem. Naima Khan, followed by, I can't read the writing, Salaf Shaukat.
Good evening, respected City Council members and community members. My name is Naima Khan. I am a resident of Farmington Hills. I moved here from Los Angeles over 8 years ago. People often ask me if I miss living in sunny California, and my answer is always a resounding not at all. The warmth of LA weather could never compare to the warmth of my community here in Farmington Hills. This is my children's hometown. They have attended Farmington Public Schools, sports at the Hawk, nature classes at Heritage Park, and of course their favorite spot, the main library. They have even gone to the polling stations with me for local and federal elections, as I have instilled in them the importance of civic engagement. It is as a proud resident of this town that I ask you all to please take a stand to call for a ceasefire to end the tragic events we see happening in Palestine. Our neighboring towns of Ann Arbor, Canton, Dearborn Heights, Detroit, Hamtramck, Kalamazoo, Ypsilanti, and Washtenaw and Wayne counties have already done so. If Farmington Hills fails to join this list, we would be dishonoring our own history of justice. Our town was founded by Arthur Power, a Quaker who firmly stood for the equality and respect of all humans. We know that his son and other Farmington Hills residents played key roles in sheltering slaves, escaping to freedom through the Underground Railroad. We are also home to the largest Holocaust Memorial Center in Michigan. And to echo the calls of our Jewish brothers and sisters who have been protesting to end the violence, never again means never again for anyone. We cannot ignore this crisis as it is simply a foreign issue. Despite limited coverage by national media, we are acutely aware of what is happening, as many of our own neighbors in and around Farmington Hills are suffering personal losses in shocking numbers. My kids have teachers and schoolmates who have lost as many as 50 family members. My 6-year-old daughter came home one day worried about her Palestinian classmate who told her that she is scared because back in her old country, many children are being killed. For the past 4 months, this issue has been a constant topic of discussion and concern in our home and many homes around us. This is a local issue. The billions of our own tax dollars that have been funding this conflict could be allocated instead to fund our cities and our schools. We have a right, as American citizens, to be consulted on how our taxes are spent. And it is our responsibility, and it is the responsibility of our local elected officials to advocate for their constituencies at the higher levels of government. The war may be overseas, but the ramifications are felt in our homes and our hearts. Before I conclude, I would like to express my appreciation for the Farmington Public Schools Board and the Superintendent Chris Delgado. On October 12th, 2023, he sent a message to the FPS community acknowledging the disproportionate impact of the situation on our students and lamenting the loss of loved ones for those who have ties to the region. His message was so balanced and sensitive that it was truly a testament to the beautiful diversity we have in Farmington Hills. It filled me with pride, especially after hearing that neighboring towns were met with disgraceful hostility from their public school officials. Farmington Hills is ranked as one of the safest towns in the nation, and as a parent, it is my wish that all families everywhere can enjoy the same sense of peace and security we are privileged to have here. To our City Council members, please take a stand and vote on a ceasefire for the sake of our local community and our legacy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Selaf, Shakat, and Alexandria, I don't know what that first letter is. It might be a B or a D. Diratsukos? You're next. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and esteemed council members. My name is Sadaf Shokat, and I have been a proud resident of Farmington Hills for over a decade. As a mother of four and committed public servant working in the federal government at the EPA for over 15 years, I have made the deliberate choice to raise my children in this city, drawn by its diverse and welcoming community. I still vividly recall my first visit to the public library with my then toddlers, hearing so many different languages and seeing such a diverse crowd. That day, I felt a deep sense of gratitude and pride in choosing such a diverse and inclusive city for my family. Farmington Hills is celebrated for its diversity and its unwavering support for all, particularly the vulnerable among us, our seniors, children, refugees, and minorities. This city also stands out in Michigan for its early adoption of a human rights ordinance, showcasing our collective commitment to ensuring a harmonious and safe environment for all our residents. However, in light of the devastating events in Gaza, Palestine, there is a palpable sense of hurt and unease among many in our community. This pain stems from the loss of innocent lives, including thousands of children, and conflicts funded in part by our own U.S. tax dollars. The images of children and civilians trapped under rubble of destroyed homes, hospitals, and schools resonate deeply with us all. Many here, including friends of mine in Farmington Hills, have family in Gaza with whom they have lost contact with, this all adding to our collective anxiety. Furthermore, our sense of safety here in Farmington Hills was compromised by a local incident. As others have mentioned, a man named Carl Mintz on October 13th was a resident of the city and arrested following a threatening post online saying he wanted to hunt Palestinians. I, along with many in our community, felt shocked, sick to our stomachs, and worried about our own family safety. The very next day, we heard news of the 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy in Illinois that was stabbed to death in his own home by his landlord in a disgusting hate crime. These events, among many others, have heightened fears among us, especially as parents. Many of us have anxiety to simply send our children to school or to send them to play outside. These incidents, I believe, are symptomatic of a broader issue, a rise in Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, fueled by inflammatory rhetoric in media and politics. It is a consequence of a lack of moral courage exhibited by our country's leadership at the higher levels. So today, I stand before you, my local leaders, to urge you to show the moral courage that seems to be lacking elsewhere. I implore you to stand against the rising tide of hate and violence. I ask that you consider passing a resolution that not only condemns all forms of hate, but also supports a humanitarian resolution in Gaza and Israel, along with a bilateral permanent ceasefire. By adopting such a resolution, Farmington Hills has the opportunity to be on the right side of history. We want to be able to tell future generations that we did everything within our power to combat discrimination and violence, both locally and globally. Moreover, passing this resolution aligns with the sentiments of a majority of Americans who support a ceasefire. It will reassure the many families in our community connected to loved ones that are suffering abroad that their voices are heard and valued. Joining the ranks of the cities that we've mentioned, Detroit, Ann Arbor, Canton, Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, Kalamazoo, Washtenaw County, Wayne County, and Ypsilanti, not to mention all the cities outside of Michigan that have taken a stand, will not only enhance our city's moral standing, but also inspire others to act. It's a step towards ensuring a peaceful and harmonious environment for all residents of Farmington Hills. Thank you for your time and for considering this crucial matter.
Thank you, Ms. Choquette. Okay, Alexandria, and then please give your last name so I will know what that is, and then Adam Elura.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, City Council members. My name is Alexandria Parasakis, and I am a Palestinian Greek American and a freshman in high school. First, I urge you all to keep an open mind and heart and to ultimately approve the ceasefire resolution we are asking you to consider. Imagine being in Gaza right now while others sit in the position of power like this board. Wouldn't you want them to act against a genocide affecting your family and friends? Being closed-minded isn't an option in such a situation. Please listen with an open mind. You don't need to be a politician, Palestinian, Muslim, or a Jew to condemn the killing of innocent civilians. Being human is enough. If you don't condemn this genocide or call for a ceasefire, then in my view, you are complicit with the blood on your hands alongside President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Did you know that Farmington Hills contributes $1,303,497 to Israel, which is being used to commit this genocide? This money could have been used to improve our schools, roads, hospitals, and more. We need to focus on our community's needs here in Farmington Hills. Calling for a permanent ceasefire is the least we can do considering our funding role. Bombing hospitals, UN schools, churches, mosques, and innocent civilians, especially in 2024, is unacceptable. It's unjustifiable to annihilate a population, to use starvation as warfare, or to kill journalists covering these atrocities. Israel's attempt to silence Palestinians and hide their actions must not succeed. Over 1,000 children in Palestine have undergone limb amputation without anesthesia. Imagine their pain. Even a minor surgery like mine, which was with anesthesia, can be traumatic. Without it, the pain would be unimaginable. Recently, my twin sister and I prepared a school presentation on the history of Palestine dating back to the Ottoman Empire. It was purely historical, yet our teacher deemed it too controversial. When is it acceptable to silence us when our people are being massacred? Our history and culture should not be suppressed, just like the voices of these innocent civilians being brutally murdered. World leaders like President Biden and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who support Netanyahu, will be remembered as supporters of tyranny. I urge you all to not be complicit in this genocide. Use your voice to help those who cannot use yours. Vote for the ceasefire resolution. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Barasakis. Adam, Elwa, followed by Hassan Shutari.
Assalamu alaikum, respected council people. I ask for your undivided attention, please.
Talk a little closer to the microphone, please, so we can hear you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Adam Ilewa. I'm a 26-year-old resident of Farmington Hills. I've pretty much grown up here, been living here for the past 9 years. I'm not here to sell you guys anything, or I don't have a HVAC business. But what I do have is a family here. And I have a 14-year-old sister. She's very beautiful, very smart. And as her older brother, I fear for her safety every day. And with the other instances that some of my other friends and family here have mentioned before, where a man in Farmington Hills went around hunting for Palestinians, or the Chicago man who murdered his tenants in cold blood. Very scary stories to hear on the news, and certainly not something they'd want to happen to a loved one. So I could talk about the genocide occurring in Gaza, Palestine right now, but everybody else has certainly educated you guys on it, and it's out there in the news. You can Google it to get more information, of course. But I'd like to discuss today about what Farmington Hills holds. And what it holds is a very diverse and very, it's the crown jewel of Michigan, if you ask me. We have a very diverse community, a lot of loving people, and has a lot of historical significance as well, namely the Holocaust Memorial Museum. To have something, a very historically significant and impactful museum, which showcases what hate and disdain and, quite frankly, the unfair treatment of, treating people as subhuman, right? And where that could lead us, such as a Holocaust of 6 million plus Jews. I feel like it is our responsibility to learn from the past so that it may not happen again. And seeing as we hold the largest Holocaust museum in Michigan, I feel it is our responsibility to learn and to also stand with, I guess, historically significant buildings and monuments that we hold dearly. What has happened in the past has happened in the Holocaust. However, it is our responsibility to take action and to do whatever we can to prevent from anything like that from occurring again. What's happening right now in Gaza is happening before our very eyes. It is the most well-documented genocide in all of history. So seeing as we do have some kind of law or resolution passed back in 2005, I do understand that it may be difficult to maybe amend this law or resolution. However, amendments are there for a reason, and we, the people of Farmington Hills, are much different from the people back in 2005. There are many more Muslims, many more Jews and Christians, and Palestine holds a significant landmark for all peoples of the Book of Faith. So I ask for you guys now, our respected council people, to please consider amending the 2005 resolution and to stand with us, the people of Farmington Hills, to pass a ceasefire action. Thank you.
Thank you. Hassan Shatari, followed by Ifran Shatari.
Hello everyone, my name is Hassan Shatari and I'm 10 years old. I'm the second oldest kid in my family of 4 kids. I'm enrolled in Farmington Public Schools online learning program. I have a really nice teacher named Miss Rad. Also, I'm doing something else really cool, memorizing the Quran. I was born right here in Michigan. Today, I want to talk for all the kids who are my age but can't be here to speak. I'm lucky because I can share my thoughts and feelings, but there are many kids in Palestine who can't do that. They're just like me, but they're facing really scary times. I'm here because I want to know that grown-ups in my city are super kind and caring. It's important for me to feel that they don't think it's okay for kids innocent like me to be in danger or sad. There are kids in Palestine who have dreams of being astronauts, teachers, or maybe superheroes, but they're living in places where it's not always safe to play outside or go to school. I feel happy and safe in my community, and I wish they could feel the same way in theirs. I'm still learning about the world, and sometimes I don't understand why some things happen, but I believe that the grown-ups here, like our leaders and neighbors, can help make things better. I dream of a world where all kids can play, laugh, and have fun without being scared, no matter where they live. Thank you for listening to me. It means a lot. I hope we can help make the world a nicer place for all kids everywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Shutari. Next, Ifran Shutari, followed by Jenna Paratsakis.
Good evening. Thank you all for your time. Irfan Shatari, Farmington Hills resident for 11 years, proud member of Farmington Hills, also a proud member of the Timbercrest Homeowner Association, who allows me to share a neighborhood with our Councilwoman Jackie Boulware. So very proud of that, and someone who encouraged me when I first moved here to get involved in the community. And we tried to do that early on with the Homeowners Association, and now we continue with the engagement that we have here today. And to everyone in the room, assalamu alaikum. It's a very quiet room for a community that's not very quiet. And that's why I greet them, and I'm proud of them for showing the patience that they have had in being quiet. And I think you know, the room should appreciate how the community has behaved in this room on a matter that's very grievous. And in honor of the Detroit Lions, I'm going to call an audible as well. So I was going to talk to you about many of the facts that are going on in the current conflict in the Middle East. But after I heard about the resolution that city passed in 2005, I decided to make a little bit of an audible and head towards why this is a local issue. You have a chamber that's populated in a way tonight that has never been populated before. This is a local issue. You have members of the city who have family members over there that have passed away and been killed. This is a local issue. You have tax dollars that every one of us pay, both to the federal and to the state, that would otherwise be used for projects in our state and in our very own city. This is a local issue. And so I understand that there's a resolution that sits there from 2005. If you ask me, I would call it a tone-deaf resolution for a city that prides itself on DEI and has taken the steps to prove that they're a diverse and multicultural city. And so to hear that type of resolution, no problem. In 2005, that's perhaps where the city council sat. But we don't hold that as binding. As an attorney, I can affirm to you that the only document that's binding in this country is the Constitution. No other document is binding. So I would urge our council members to be very clear. The only binding document is the Constitution. We took a Pledge of Allegiance when we began this meeting, and that's what we'll hold as binding. Everything else is open for discussion, open for a new resolution. And so I'd urge the council members to pass a resolution to speak on local issues that may also be taking place overseas. And then, of course, we'd ask for a ceasefire in a war that is unjust, with finding over 25,000 killed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jenna Paratsakis, followed by Hassania Paratsakis, and that is the end of the blue cards that I have. So anyone else who wishes to speak, please line up behind the gentleman in the green hat.
Good evening, Farmington City Council members. My name is Jenna Paratsakis, and I am a Palestinian-American 12-year-old activist and poet in 7th grade at Farmington STEAM Academy. My religion teaches me to stand up against injustice physically with my actions, and if I can't physically, then verbally with my words, and if I can't do either of those, then hate it in my heart. I, with many other residents of Farmington Hills, are here today to beseech you to call for a permanent and immediate ceasefire of Israel's relentless and continued bombardment on Gaza. At this point, Israel's genocide has been going on for 109 days and has killed over 25,000, which at this point is 20 times more than the amount of people killed in Israel on October 7th. And the only logical and humane decision would be is to end Israel's murderous attempts to wipe Gaza and its children off the face of the earth. Unimpeded humanitarian aid in field hospitals should be set up as soon as possible. Due to the serious PTSD from the heinous atrocities committed against many people in Gaza, many people require counseling to deal with their unimaginable trauma. These are inhumane conditions that cannot be tolerated. I appeal to your humanity to call for a ceasefire. The citizens of Farmington Hills and Gaza are counting on you. So there's Al-Fat al-Arir was a poet who was assassinated by Israel in the past 3 months, and this is a tribute to him. So his poem is called If I Must Die. If I must die, you must live, to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and make some strings, to make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, who while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel's there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope, let it be a story. And I also have a poem that I wrote.
Okay, you have 1 minute, my friend.
Okay, I'll make it quick. Hey world, how can you not recognize the pain inside this Palestinian genocide from this Israeli apartheid that makes me want to rise and do something except cry for Palestine? So join me in the struggle against the tide to end this mindless apartheid, this heartless genocide, this ethnic cleansing and colonization statewide on Palestine.
Thank you. Okay, and so the last card is Ms. Husseina Parasakis. And just a comment for everybody queued up. We are happy to stay here till 2 in the morning and hear from everyone. At the same time, if what you're going to say has already been said, but you just want us to acknowledge that there is another individual agreeing, it is really okay to say ditto, I agree, I'm with the people who spoke before me. Really, that would be okay. And the other piece I would like to say is there's a lot of noise in the hall, and that makes it hard for us to focus on the person who's speaking. So if you're in the hallway and you're talking, take it way down the hallway, please. Okay.
Street,
Okay,
city,
and
city.
right.
Main, street, and city.
Right, and so this is our last person with a blue card. And then when you do come up, we need to know what your name is, what street you live on, and what city you're in. We don't want your house number. Okay, please.
My name is Melina Paratsakis, and I am a freshman in high school. Respected council members, I would like you to call for a ceasefire and pass a resolution. Last month, the UN proposed a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. The USA vetoed it. Why? Let me tell you about what's been going on over there. Gaza has been under siege since 2005. All roads in or out are blockaded by the IDF. Carefully rationed food is allowed in, the bare minimum of calories needed to avoid mass starvation. Sea is completely blockaded by Israel's naval forces, so the people of Gaza can't even fish for their food. Gaza is frequently bombarded from time to time, and that is referred to as mowing the lawn by Israel. Medical supplies rarely make it through Israel's numerous checkpoints into Gaza, and the stuff that does is not enough. Now, the situation is even more severe. People are dying by the thousands every day. About 250 people die from carpet bombings, and 750 people die from starvation and disease every single day. All the hospitals that aren't completely destroyed don't even have anesthesia during surgeries. Over 1,000 children had to have 1 or 2 limbs amputated without anesthesia to numb the pain. All the hospitals that are still standing have no power, and they can't power the machines or incubators that needed. For the last 108 days, Israel has refused to let in any fuel. At least 125 premature babies have died because the hospitals didn't have the supplies needed to care for them. The doctors in Gaza have been threatened to force them to leave, but when they didn't, they were assassinated. All of this is because of Israel. They have bombed mosques and churches. They bombed the third oldest church in the world. Israel indiscriminately bombs Gaza under the guise of fighting Hamas. Those premature babies aren't Hamas. Those women and children who lost their entire families aren't Hamas. The fact is that Israel is not allowing any food, water, or medicine into Gaza, and at the same time carpet bombing and causing one of the worst humanitarian crises. This means that they're committing a genocide. The U.S. isn't lifting a finger to stop it. In fact, they're providing even more money in aid to Israel than ever before. This is why I implore you, respected council members, to stand up and call for a permanent ceasefire and an end to the siege on Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now going to the part where we do not have any blue cards on anyone, so, oh, well, I don't have it. So, name, street, city, and we will be taking a, just to let you know, we will be taking a break at 9:15. So, because we'll need to stretch our legs and then reconvene at that point in time. All right. So, and please make sure you're speaking into the microphone so we can hear you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and respected members of the City Council. My name is Husnia Pertsakis, a Palestinian American and a proud resident of Farmington Hills since 1996. My family and I have been part of this community for over 3 decades, almost 3 decades, during which I served Farmington Public Schools for approximately 10 years. This city is not just our home, it's where my husband and I chose to raise our 4 children and invest our future. Today, I stand before you, along with my fellow community members, to earnestly request the passage of a ceasefire resolution. This appeal is not about taking political sides. It's about making an ethical and moral choice to uphold justice and humanity. For the last 108 days, my family has been deeply troubled by the tragic events in Gaza. I can't turn on the water, I can't lay in my bed without thinking about the heinous suffering that the Palestinians have been subjected to on a daily basis. Every woman, man, child, elderly, every single person. And these things have been going on for almost 100 years. There's been a siege on Gaza since 2005, where 70% of the population are refugees from another town in Palestine, okay? But they haven't had 98% of their cleaning water hasn't been clean. So imagine now they have no clean water at all. They're drinking sewage water. They're starving, literally starving. We're sitting here and we're thinking about, you know, we're going to be here till 2 in the morning having to listen to all this. But what about the people that are suffering right now? All the children, all the women that are delivering babies out in the open, okay? They're lucky if they have a tent over their head. Their C-sections are being done without anesthesia. Losing limbs, that's a regular thing in Gaza. Losing family members, that's a regular thing in Gaza. But this resolution that you spoke of that has been in place since November 29, 2005, I don't think anyone could have imagined that we were going to be looking at a genocide being committed before our eyes. I don't know what news, where you get your news, but I invite everyone in this room to watch Democracy Now! For unbiased news, just to start, if we could do that. So now I'm going to continue with my speech. The ongoing violence and large-scale atrocities in Gaza and the West Bank have brought back painful memories of my childhood in Beit Haina, a suburb of Jerusalem. I've witnessed the suffering caused by the prolonged occupation and ethnic cleansing in Palestine. My family's roots in Jerusalem go back centuries, yet despite this deep connection, my parents, both born in Jerusalem, do not hold citizenship in their own country, and neither do I. Raising 4 children in Farmington Hills, I've endeavored to instill in them a strong sense of identity and pride in their heritage. However, this journey has not been without challenges. Following 9/11, my son faced relentless bullying, and he was in 7th grade. More recently, my daughters have been subjected to bullying in school for being Palestinian. I'm here to remind you, our elected council members, that you represent a diverse community that believes in your ability to make impactful decisions. We urge you to use your influence to take a stand for justice. By passing this ceasefire resolution, you would not only be recognizing the struggles of Palestinian Americans, but also reflecting the diversity, courage, and integrity of Farmington Hills. This resolution would serve as a symbolic gesture, affirming that the voices of Palestinian Americans are heard, that we matter, and that we are an integral part of this diverse community. I want to thank you for your time and consideration. And I also want to thank my fellow community members for their solidarity from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Stephen Ludwig. I'm from Running Stream, 14 in Orchard Lake, Hunter Ridge Apartments. Well, I mean, I've seen what's going on in Ukraine, in Gaza, and Israel. I mean, our family is Russian and Ukrainian and half German and Jewish, probably half Canadian. I mean, Aunt Margaret was born in Canada. I mean, Dad and Uncle Seymour, they were born in Germany. I mean, I work at Orchard Lone Pine Kroger. I mean, I have 3 people taking me there. Yeah, I mean, this is my second city council meeting. I know I have to, well, I mean, I have to go pretty soon. I mean, Bill's here.
Thank you for your comments this evening, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Be safe. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. My name is Adila Baig from Turnberry Court, Farmington. I am a pediatrician and I have dedicated my life to my profession. I reside in Farmington Hills and have my practice here in Farmington. I have been serving children and adolescents for more than 2 decades now here in Farmington. My patient population is diverse, as is this community. I'm also a foster parent of a refugee child. So with my personal and professional experience, I am very aware of the wounds and trauma inflicted mentally, not only physically, but also mentally, which is inflicted to the war victims, and here in this case is one-sided unilateral genocide. Last few months have been a dark stain on this planet. Very painful to imagine that it takes enormous skills, resources, energy to keep these human lives going, and here we are witnessing suffocating newborns in the incubators. I grieve for those infants. I grieve for the healthcare workers who were trying to keep them alive by bagging them until they were tired or were killed themselves. I stand with my community against hate, against killing of the innocent. No child should die like that. I urge the council for resolution of the ceasefire.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Wahajuddin Muhammad. I live on Morning View on 12 Mile and Middlebelt Road. I'm the Imam of the Tawheed Center Mosque on 10 Mile and Middlebelt Road as well. And as you've seen today, it's abundantly clear that this issue, the Palestinian issue that's going on, the Gaza issue, the genocide that's going on there, is a local issue. It has affected so many constituents here. It's affecting us in terms of tax dollars, in terms of mental health, in terms of distress that I hear from many community members, the anguish that they're feeling, the helplessness that they're feeling, and you've heard all of that today. I just want to perhaps bring up a point that hasn't been brought today. You see the diversity of this community right in front of you today. And many people here were either born outside of this country or their parents were born outside of this country. We came here to pursue the American dream and all of the ideals that one can find that the American dream stood for. And the place that we have found this American dream and those values that we hear about in our parents' home countries or in our own home countries, we found those in Farmington Hills. not anywhere else in Michigan, not anywhere else in this country, in Farmington Hills. If you ask the vast majority of people here, they don't plan on going anywhere else. They want to live here, they want to raise their families here, they want to retire here. This Farmington Hills is really, it is the place of our dreams. But with what face will we show our children if the city and this community that we love so much does not stand up for the values that we're taught that this country stands for? Especially when so many other cities around us have stood up, and it's beyond a religious issue or a racial issue, it's a justice issue. And America, the American values teach us to stand up for the equality, for the justice of oppressed people, wherever they are, justice. And so many cities around us have passed this resolution. As Irfan Shutari said before, the 2005 resolution is in no way is it binding. That can be changed. And I urge you all to live up to the ideals of this American dream that we have found in this city, that we live up to them by repealing the 2005 resolution and passing a ceasefire resolution against the genocide taking place in Gaza. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening, respected Mayor and City Council members.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for your time. I know it's too late now, but you're here for a great cause. You're meeting here to save or to help saving lives of children and innocent people in Gaza. I'm personally from Gaza. I was born in Gaza. I lost almost 50 from my family members. Situation there is really horrific. I just left a meeting with Congresswoman Hella Stephen, asking her also to call for a ceasefire. She promised me and two other members that she will work on that, because we showed her how bad is the situation over there. More than 30,000 being killed there, more than 65,000 injured, mostly children and women. Most of the houses being destroyed over there. So the situation, as everybody said, I don't want to repeat what everyone said, but the situation there is really, really horrific, So really, we need your help to call for a ceasefire tonight. With doing that, really you are helping to save the lives of children and women and innocent people over there. Thank you again for your time. I don't want to take too much time. I know it's getting too late, and I encourage everyone just to, spend less than a minute so you can go home. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, respected Mayor, respected City Council members. My name is Umar Zafar. I live on Moran Street in Farmington Hills, and I want to thank each and every one of you for giving us the time tonight. 70 years ago, the world stood up. The world stood up and bravely said loudly and clearly, never again. 6 million innocent civilians were wiped off the face of the earth, and the world watched. Never again. And if you ask people, they will all tell you the same thing. I would have been on the right side of history. I would have never supported the oppressive regime. I would have sided with those who are being exterminated. Is it something we can really believe? For words nowadays are just shields to cover up our inability to act. Is it something we can really believe? For actions speak much louder than words. And it seems that history is repeating itself. A wise man learns from history, and it seems that the only thing we have learned from history is that we do not learn from history. I ask myself, why are we allowing the deaths of nearly 25,000 civilians, over 2/3 of which are children? Children that have nothing to do with this conflict and have every right to live as do ours. They have every right to a warm house, and we sit here while they are uploading their own genocide in HD for the world to sit back and watch. Watch as their parents scramble to grab a Sharpie and write their names on their arms and legs so that when they find the smithereens of body parts, they at least know it was their own that was found. I ask myself, how can we be passive when one of the most powerful militaries in the world can decimate one of the most defenseless communities on the face of the earth, a land with no running water, an open-air prison? I ask myself, how can we normalize this irrational relationship we have with Israel? Do we not realize in the past 25 years, we have given them over $250 billion of our taxpayer money, money that should have been spent on our schools, on our roads, for our health care. And it's being used for what? Are we not sick of going to war after war in the Middle East? Have we not gotten tired of the pain and misery it has befallen us? I ask myself how it is possible that we stand silent when over 29,000 bombs have been dropped on an area less than 2 miles wide. Does the International Court of Justice stand for nothing? Do all UN resolutions against Israel stand for nothing? Do all the Geneva Conventions broken stand for nothing? My dear respected City Council, look at the world's response. Look at how the people's perception is shifting to the truth. Look at the numbers of Palestinian protests for equality. The narrative is shifting because the oppressor's narrative of lies can never prevail. I ask you, do you not want to stand your ground with the truth before it is clear to the world? Do we not want to put our stake in the ground that we will not stand silent in the face of oppression before it becomes mainstream? My dear respected City Council, are we going to sit by idly and watch another genocide happen when we said proudly and clearly 70 years ago, never again? I ask you, what side of history do we want to be on? For if we stand by our claim, then we should think how we will face our children when the truth does prevail and the falsehood is clear and they ask, how could you have been on that side? Let us be brave. Let us put it on the agenda to call a ceasefire, and let us side with the oppressed and not the oppressors. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All the City Council members.
Could you please get closer to the microphone? The acoustics are awful in here. There you go.
Hello to all the City Council members and the people over here.
And your name, street, and city, please.
Myself, Masih Siddiqui, resident of Farmington for past 11 years. I won't take much of your time because this issue needs less of discussion and more of an action, as it is an emergency issue. We all here and around the globe know in our hearts what is going on in Gaza is an injustice towards innocent civilians. But many of us don't like to speak for justice for them. And it can be due to various reasons. Some people may not have the courage to speak. Some people may think, what can I do? And, and some people may not even care and think it's not my issue. Imagine for a second, everybody out here, if we are in such a situation and we see people around the world not speaking for us, for justice, or if they say the same words, it's not my issue and I don't care, or if the local bodies around the globe open a book of rules and laws of 1,000 pages and say it's not in our books, how would you feel? That's all I can say. I support ceasefire now.
Thank you for your time.
My name is Raven Marin. I've come here from Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm a photographic journalist for Ground Cover News and a student at Eastern Michigan University. I'm calling for your support of a resolution calling for a ceasefire between Israel and Palestine. This war has raged on for 3 long months. Over 25,000 Palestinians have been killed, with 70% of them being women and children. That is 1 in every 100 Gazans killed by the IDF. Israeli forces have shown no mercy in their bombing campaign, with the use of white phosphorus, which is considered a war crime under the Geneva Convention, which Israel is a signee of. According to a report from the Associated Press, a child is murdered in Gaza every 10 minutes. That means during the entire duration of this meeting, 20 to 30 children will have been murdered during this meeting. There's no space left for people to retreat to. Even the supposed safe zones are continually attacked and bombed. There are no safe zones in Gaza. These are not terrorists, not soldiers, but innocent civilians who are being attacked. Israeli forces have shown no mercy in their bombing campaign. Why does Israel only let in 200 to 300 aid trucks a day when before the war it was over 500? Currently, over 2,000 cases of hepatitis A have been recorded in Gaza. Experts predict that if proper medical supplies aren't allowed in, more Palestinians will die from disease than the airstrikes. All 36 of Gaza's hospitals are currently non-functional. This health crisis is no accident. I could go on for hours about all the war crimes Israel has committed, but because of time, I'll instead play an audio clip from inside a hospital in Gaza. Just a warning, what you're about to hear is extremely disturbing.
One moment, please. Mr. City Attorney, is that
Yes,
permissible?
well, it somewhat depends on the content of what is on the recording, but it is time for public comment, and if somebody has something to share with council, they could do that in document or audio format.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you hear their cries? Do you hear their anguish? These are children, not terrorists, who are being bombed. The psychological damage this war has caused is irreversible. An entire generation of children will harbor this trauma for the rest of their lives. That is if they live to see the end of this genocide. I apologize for disturbing anyone or bringing up traumatic memories of war by playing this clip, but we must know the truth. We must not look away from the suffering. I would like to remind those who are quick to call this movement anti-Semitic that this is not a fight against Judaism. This is a fight against Zionism and imperialism. I condemn the acts of anti-Semitic violence that have been perpetrated against the Jewish community. There is no excuse for hate crimes. The cities of Ypsilanti, Canton Township, Ann Arbor, Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, Detroit, and many others have called for a ceasefire. So why not Farmington Hills? When future generations look back on this conflict, will they be proud of our actions or disgusted by our gross negligence? During the outbreak of the Russo-Ukrainian War, we were quick to condemn Russia's war crimes. But why is it when Black and brown children are being bombed and murdered do we hesitate in our condemnation? When we saw the crimes that were committed in Bucha, we were quick to call it an act of genocide. So why not the same with Gaza? We all like to think of ourselves as being on the right side of history. Well, now is our chance. Now is our chance to prove to the world that we will not stand by and do nothing as one of the worst genocides of the 21st century rages right in front of our eyes. I would like to end my speech with a poem written by a Palestinian writer, Rafat Alir. I know this poem has already been read at this council meeting, but I'd like to read it once again because I think it's very important for us to hear his story. If I must die, you must live, to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some string, make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even in his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it be hope, let it be a tale. On December 6, 2023, Rafat was killed in an airstrike by the IDF. May his memory live on.
Thank you.
May Allah protect the people of Gaza, and may Palestinians return to their ancestral homes one day. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
And that's time.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mohammed Malik, resident of Farmington Hills. I live in Arden Park Circle. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. A wise man said about 100 years back, I believe, he said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. Let me repeat that. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. See a lot of people here who came, who probably left their comfort zone to come here. My wife comes home from work, typically on a wintry evening. She comes home and she makes sure she does not go out. And she just tucks in. But today I was surprised. I should not have been surprised. She said she'll come along and show up here. And so many of the people who are here in the spirit of doing something. The resolution that was passed in 2005 was probably a cop-out, honestly, back then, and is definitely a cop-out today, given the diverse nature of this city, given the fact that social media, Instagram and so on and so forth have brought to our very doorstep the horror that's being played out every day, every minute in Palestine right now. We hear about indiscriminate bombings, killings of people. We hear about anesthesia, the lack of anesthesia. We hear about limbs being amputated without anesthesia. I cannot even imagine that. So we have a choice then. It was Edmund Burke who said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. That's our choice then. Do we do nothing or do we do something? You might think that what we are doing is insignificant or purely symbolic, unimportant, and so on and so forth. But I think that is, we owe it to ourselves, to our conscience, to do something. We can go home today to the comfort of our homes, knowing that there are hundreds of thousands of people in Palestine who are not seeing electricity, who will probably be in a shelter, in a camp, in a refugee camp without basic necessities. We can go back to the comfort of our house and say, this is not my problem. Or you can say, I can do something about this, that doing nothing is not a choice. And why should we do that? The answer is very simple. Ultimately, we live our lives, our happiness is based upon the choices, the moral choices that we make. Our happiness is a final statement of our actions and choices in our life. So it's really, I'm really appealing to your humanity here, that we need to make an effort, maybe take a minimal risk, if nothing else, to make a statement that we will not stand for this. And one larger reason why we should be doing this is because this country was really founded upon the principle of justice. If you think about it, of all the people who fled Europe, who were running away from religious persecution, and the constitution of this country is a testament to the human effort to find justice and equality for people. And we try to live that experiment. We try to enact that dream in our lives. And I'm grateful for this country for giving me that opportunity. So I appeal to you again, do something, because doing nothing is not a choice. Thank you.
Thank you. And this will be our last person before a break. Good evening.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. My name is Lana Qadi. I am not from Farmington Hills. I live in West Bloomfield. My street is West Nashway Drive. And I showed up here today because we do what we can. We show up. And I wish success for my own city, for my neighboring cities, for everyone. And I do indeed appreciate your attentiveness. And I want to use this platform real quick to encourage you all in here for your, I'm sure, consistent...
Remember, you're addressing council. You're not addressing the people here.
That's
Thank
cool.
you.
That's cool. Okay. We're making dents. And I'm going to improvise here because I've not prepared much, but it would only be reasonable to agree with and to support needed amendments, but not only an amendment. You are educated. You know your environment. We trust your expertise. What else can we do? What can we do? Connect with our elected officials at the state level, national level, to advocate for the city's interests. Are we building alliances and amplifying their voices? Are we connecting and supporting from influential community figures who have spoken here today, are we utilizing our media channels to communicate city initiatives and garner public support? Use your network of support at various levels and enhance the City Council's ability to influence not only in, but beyond the local sphere. You have the power, you have the platform. Why haven't we been reasonable in doing its due diligence? Why haven't we taken initiative when we need it most, when we need to be a decent human being? You know what local efforts do. You know what local efforts do. You know what it means. This government, the nature of this government, the dynamics of this government, long-term change, sustainable long-term change, that should be in the forefront of our mind when we have these positions of power. Indeed, undoubtedly, change starts local. What else can we do? We've articulated it in many ways tonight in the past 3 months for calls for action. Where's our action? Let's be brave. We are with you. And we want to be brave with you. Together. Let's be decent human beings. Let's use our reason. Let's use our positions of power. Let's take up our roles, each and every single one of your roles, with excellence, with excellence. If not now, when? When? It's been too long. We must act now. Thank you very much.
And we will take a little break, be back in about 7 or so minutes.
Yeah. You know, I want to just ask everyone wants to talk, please make it very short, please. Oh, I don't know how many people we still have, but please make it very short.
All right. Name, street, city, and again, if you agree with what's already been said, it's okay to say I agree. Good evening.
Good evening. I'll try and keep it as short as possible, but I did prepare something. Hello, City Council members. Hello, Mayor Etch. My name is Miriam Hussein, and I live on Rutledge Crossing.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hey, folks in the hall, we're back. I apologize. Please start over.
That is okay. My name is Miriam Hussein, and I live on Rutledge Crossing. I am 18 years old and have been living in Farmington Hills for those 18 years. Farmington Hills has been a home for me for 18 years, from walking across the street to our local Dairy Queen to swimming lessons at the YMCA. Getting together with all my friends at our city parks, and even working behind the counter at the Farmington Community Library. Farmington Hills is somewhere that is very dear to me. I am also a result of the Palestinian diaspora, and I also happen to be a freshman in college. And can I just say, transitioning into college was already quite a big task. But walking into class on October 11th, a couple days after October 7th, to take a huge exam was not something I thought I would have to experience. The feelings of despair and anxiety as I picked up my pencil to shamelessly answer my exam questions, which seemed would determine my entire life before. But on that day, I couldn't think. I couldn't comprehend my statistics questions. I couldn't possibly imagine me taking an exam had any urgency compared to what happened in Palestine, what happened in Gaza, what is happening in Gaza. It's no secret that the Palestinians have been abused and oppressed for decades, but to mass murder them and expect everyone to be okay with that, for that to be something everyone ignores and continues their lives, is preposterous. I took my exam on October 11th and my world was breaking. I took an exam and the children of Gaza were starving. They were being buried under buildings, and the kids who got dug out from under the buildings were shivering, hiding their tears and acting strong. I was taking an exam and I was angry. I wanted to be doing anything else, something useful, something that would bring about a positive change in the world. I was taking an exam on October 11th. What were you doing on October 7th? What have you been doing for the past 100 days? Were you calling for a ceasefire? Were you putting pressure on Lansing, on DC? Were you doing anything with your power? How can the city that I hold so dear not do anything? The city that I grew up in and call my home. We came together today to show you we're not content living our mundane lives, acting as if a genocide means nothing. We won't be silenced and we won't be snuffed out, forced to keep on going on with our lives. We will continue to advocate until every single starved child in Gaza is fed. We will continue to shout until every injured man is healed. We will cry and quake and make it everyone's business until we get a ceasefire, until humanity becomes a reality again. Thank you for your time and for listening to our concerns.
Thank you. Good luck at school. Next, please.
Good evening. Joshua Feinstein, 16818 St. Paul Street, Grosse Pointe. And I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me to be here tonight. It's a privilege to be in Farmington Hills. This is a city with a reputation of being vibrant and diverse, and also it has an outstanding track record of combating violence against civilians regardless of their race, ethnicity, or background. I also want to thank Councilwoman Jackie Bowler for meeting with us last week. I think that you're looking at us in the eye face to face and having the discussion showed a leadership and a partnership that is very encouraging, and we sincerely thank you for that. For the rest of the council members that I have not yet met, I want to say that I stand before you as a proud Jewish American, and I am also the son of a Holocaust survivor. As such, and if you'll excuse me, in terms of my people, our history instills within us a profound understanding of what it is when one group is targeted for extermination. And as 21st century Jews, we have an obligation to not be silent in the face of injustice. As of today, 25,000 people in Gaza have been killed by military strikes. Now, I want to think about that in terms of Farmington Hills. That means that if you compare that to Farmington Hills, 1 out of every 3 citizens would have been wiped out and killed if it were Farmington Hills. 70% of the civilians that are targeted are women and children, and by the time I finish talking with you all, a young child in Gaza will be slaughtered. Every 10 minutes, a child is killed by the Israelis in Gaza. I would like to pose a question. Why do you think the Nazis were so successful with their ethnic cleansing? Yes, they were brutal. Yes, they murdered women and children and infants, and they certainly were masters of propaganda. But their secret weapon, what made them so successful, was a silent and complicit public. Well, I can tell you, from the Jewish community, we are not remaining silent. Throughout the country, and especially here in Michigan, more and more Jewish people are standing up and saying, "Not in our name." The term never again means never again, not just for the Jewish people, but for anyone and everyone everywhere. And I will say that in terms of this movement from a Jewish perspective, it is not just that community. As you can see here, people of all races, nationalities, faiths from across the United States, and again, especially here in Michigan, they stand with Palestine. Thank you. So in closing, thank you. In closing, I will say, I would like to extend three invitations to the council. The first invitation is to join us this Wednesday for an interfaith community event, if your schedule permits, and we can dialogue. The second is, I would like you to invite you to join us here on the right side of history. And the third, if I may be respectful to address the mayor, I would love to discuss the notion about a resolution from times past in 2005, whether it really is relevant today. I understand making a comment that it is something that we look to, but we can look to the past, but we really have to start to talk about the future. So with that, I think that's about for my time, and I will say thank you again for considering a humanitarian plea from your constituency, and thank you again for having me in the lovely city of Farmington Hills. Good night.
Good night, thank you. Nope, nope, nope. We don't respond to public comment, or you'll have to leave. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having this forum.
And
My name
please
is
get a
Rabia.
little closer to the mic.
My name is Rabia Nakadar. I live on Duval Court, and I am from Bloomfield Hills. I am a healthcare provider here in the southeast Michigan. I'm born and raised in New York. I'd like to say my right heart is New York. My left heart now is Michigan, which I call home. And I too would not go back to New York. I love it there, my family's there, but this is my home. This is my community, this is the community I serve. Like I said, I'm a healthcare provider. I've been a healthcare provider for 25 years. I'm a physical therapist. And over the 25 years, this is just my observation, our healthcare system has become a car wash. People come in, they come out, don't even dry, come back in, come back out. And I'm sure many healthcare providers here feel the same way. We are limited with what we can do at times. That being said, the point was brought up here. We need a lot of things in this country to fix our healthcare system. And what frustrates me the most is my taxes go to support this genocide, when I know that those billions of dollars could be helping people here, my patients, where Medicare will not pay for a diabetic shoe, but will pay for that patient to have an amputation with anesthesia. It's a very frustrating system, but we advocate for our patients every day. We stay up late for them, sleepless. Nurses will tell you they are sleepless, they are working hard for their patients. And I would like to see that being done here. So my taxes, I do not appreciate them going overseas into this genocide. I would like to be saving patients with my money and not killing them. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Anwar Al-Kurna. I'm 28 years old. I live in Farmington Hills on Hidden Valley Drive. I didn't want to kind of repeat the same statements everyone was talking about this evening, and I know we've heard all the facts and statistics throughout the night. So I wanted to make more of a personal statement with Mr. Bridges. Mr. Bridges, 10 years ago, you've probably seen me play football, you don't even know. But my older brother, Sammy, he played football with your son, Chad, and I got the honor of playing football with his son, Chauncey, and at North Farmington High School. And me and my brother we were tight ends for anyone who knows football, and we would block for your sons. We helped them score, kind of defend them on the football field.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say that me and my brother had a very good relationship with your sons, and they were two of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life. They had a very infectious smile, and wherever they went, it would always make me smile. That's why I have to smile right now. But the point I wanted to make was that for the entire council is to be aware that the people in our community would defend the people in your families, and we will and we have, and we know a lot of them personally, and they're great people, and we would take any opportunity to help them if we knew they were being harmed or attacked. And I wanted to sincerely advise to go back on that decision that was made in 2005 and review and revise, and now it's time to think about protecting our families. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're all quite fond of Chad and Chauncey, actually. Okay, good evening.
Hello, Mohammed Abdallah, Farmington Hills resident, I live within walking distance here on Westmoreland Drive. Thank you for having us, and thank you for hearing us, our concerns. I really want to share some of my initial reactions here. And I think for a lot of us here, it was so hard not to cheer, especially like when a little 10-year-old came up here with a little squeaky voice and you know, touched our hearts. But we did that really out of respect for this council, respect for this hall. And I don't want that respect to be confused with a lack of resolve to act. There's a lot of passion here. There's a strong resolve that we're not gonna just sit around and let things go by like they might have gone in the past. You know, you mentioned, and thank you very much for sharing about the 2005 resolution. We don't hold this council by the standards of the Farmington Hills Council of 2005. That's not the standards we hold you all by. We're gonna start by the standards of all the neighboring cities, Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, Kalamazoo, etc. The standard has changed, and we have higher expectations, and we have higher expectations of you. And that's why we're all here. And we would love that the city we chose to be our home, city we chose to raise my kids. I have 5 kids here in these schools here in Farmington Hills, and I have another one who will be joining soon, in a few years. But we would love Farmington Hills to be at the forefront, and that's what we expect of the city that we love. And so with that, I want to share that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Kosiba. I live on Verona Street. Thank you very much for having us. I believe you guys have more power than you think you do. And I think what this is about is you might not be able to change it and demand a ceasefire, but your pressure onto state, which goes to federal, does matter. And if they can overturn Roe versus Wade, I'm sure that you can adjust the resolution from 2005. Just wanted to say I stand here with my fellow residents of Farmington Hills and support what they have said.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, I am Mukim. I live on Orchard Lake and 10 Mile. I moved to Farmington Hills about a decade ago, and I love here. I love the people here, and people have warmth here. Like I can say that I call it my home now. So I don't plan on going out. Don't want to repeat like what everybody have said, but I sincerely request the council. See, there was a reason like back in the 2005, we have decided something, but the situation and the call is different now, and we have been hearing like all the reasons why we should go back and like change the things. So I sincerely request the council to support the ceasefire, and I speak on behalf of the children. I have 2 kids. I'm an engineer by profession, by the way, but my like free time I spend with children while raising 2 of my own, and I am nowhere connected to Palestine. I am here for the children of the Palestine. We all are hearing like what's going on there. I don't want to repeat, but I am here on behalf of them. So let's do our part. Let's be the drop in the ocean, and let's support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dolly Klein, and I live on Adams Street in Farmington, Michigan. I'm Jewish, and I'm a mom, and I'm incredibly proud to be part of this community. And I'm grateful for the luxury, it's a luxury, to ask my government for a resolution for ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sana Eshaxe. I live on 14 Mile between Drake and Halsted. I'm not from Farmington Hills, but Farmington Hills is very dear to me. I live in West Bloomfield. But I'm always here to do all the fun activities. It's here or Novi. There's nothing really for me in West Bloomfield other than my home. I just wanted to say and point out that I was standing here during the meeting and, my feet started to get tired. I was getting sleepy. I was listening to people's speeches, but I was getting tired. My feet hurt, my knees hurt. And during that break, that little refreshing time that we had, and I got to take a seat and sit down, I felt refreshed, I felt energetic, I felt more passionate. And I realized that that's not what the Palestinians have. That's not a luxury that the people in Gaza have, that we just had that moment to take a little break. They don't have a break. I come from a big family. I have 5 siblings, and I have 2 little siblings. There's a huge age gap between us. A lot of people think I'm their mom. And when I go on TikTok, on social media, on Instagram, and I look at the videos of little kids who have become orphans, of little kids who've lost their parents, I think of my little brother. I think of my little sister. And over time, sometimes I feel like I'm becoming desensitized, because you see all of these same videos and images over and over again, and the way that the media covers it, it causes people to become desensitized. And as a Muslim living in America, that's not something that I want. That's not something that should be happening to Muslims, Islamophobia, the things that we face. This isn't acceptable. It shouldn't be something that I've grown up here. It shouldn't be something that I experience. I just graduated from Wayne State University, and after what happened in October, to be honest, I didn't feel safe anymore at school. I felt so unsafe walking to my car, to the parking structure after my night classes. Even when it wasn't like my night classes during the day, I was afraid. I was afraid for myself. I was afraid wearing the scarf. I was afraid of expressing myself and of being a Muslim woman. I was identifiable. I could have been a suspect of the man in Farmington Hills who wanted to hunt Palestinians. I'm sure he doesn't know the difference between a Palestinian and an Afghan. I'm not Palestinian myself, but I don't think he would know. So I sincerely urge you guys to reconsider something that was written in almost 20 years ago about not being involved in global affairs, because this isn't global, this is local. Muslims here shouldn't be feeling unsafe like how I did if this genocide is happening in Palestine overseas. So I would urge you guys to reconsider that and call for a ceasefire. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Iman Ismail. I actually live in West Bloomfield on Rolling Ridge, but I came today because I am Palestinian. I am from Gaza. As we speak now, I have relatives in Gaza who were evacuated from the northern part of Gaza to the south, and they're actually staying in tents now in Rafah. The situation is beyond how we can describe it in words. It's actually true. It's more than what you see on the news. I am from Gaza. I talk to people in Gaza when we can, because they don't always have net, and it's hard to actually communicate with them. But it's horrible, and it's a humanitarian tragedy. People need your help. I am begging you, as a person from Gaza, please, if you have anything in your power to do, even if it's 1%, to help these people, to help the children in Gaza, please do it. And if there's any way we can do, like anything else that we can do to actually, because I have went to so many protests, we do everything we can, but it hurts our hearts. We can't do anything. Nothing is achieved. So please, I am begging you again, if you can do anything to help the people in Gaza, do it, because the situation there is horrible, and they need your help. Do it for the sake of the kids in Gaza. This is not about Hamas anymore. This is about human beings. We're all humans. We all have kids, and we all have hearts. What's going on is actually a disaster. They really need your help. They need every help they can get. Another thing is I work in Detroit, in DMC, and I don't know if you're aware of the situation of the healthcare system and the situation in Detroit. It breaks my heart when I want to discharge a patient from Detroit and the patient tells me, I don't have a house. I need to look for a shelter. I don't have a place to go to. And we have to delay the discharge process because we need to look for a placement for this patient. We live in the US. People in the US deserve better. They deserve a better life. Patients deserve better. Detroit needs help. Instead of sending money somewhere else, it's not only about wars, and we are all sick of wars. We need peace on this world. But it's about that it breaks my heart as a provider to see that a person in Detroit needs a house. When we have all this money going somewhere else, not only about Israel and Gaza and all that, anywhere, if you don't use it in the right place, it's only gonna make us worse in this country. We love this country, we belong to this country. All what we want is to please call for ceasefire, and let's all work together to improve this country, to improve the healthcare system, and make America great, okay? Because we need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Rufayda Qureshi, and I'm a resident of Farmington Hills. I live on Jade Drive. I do not have a speech prepared because this was so last minute, but I would like to read a poem I have written back in 2021. The poem is called Sometimes We. Sometimes we think. Sometimes we think of what is happening around us. We think of minority lives being discriminated. We think of minority lives being rejected. We think of minorities being mistreated, and we fight, which is right. But we don't think of thousands of innocent people dying. We don't think of children closing their eyes at night, getting ready to never open them again. And we don't think of fighting for them because we're scared of being judged, scared of being neglected, even if they have no rights, no right to speak, no right to fight, no right to a fair trial. And we, their only hope, stay quiet. Palestine lives are being discriminated. Palestine lives are being rejected. Palestine children are being mistreated. But one more thing, they have no rights. Children crying, women screaming, men praying, and soldiers bombing. But nobody seems to hear anything. We need to listen, and we need to scream. We need to cry, and we need to pray. We need to raise our voices and say, "Free Palestine," till our voices crack and our knees shake, because one day Palestine will be free, free from genocide, free from grenades, free from fear. One day children will wake up to a warm breakfast instead of burning bodies. One day civilians will go out without fear. One day mothers will happily send their kids to school. Why? Because of our voices, because we listened and we responded. It will all end because of us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. It was a very powerful evening. Thank you all for the public comment. This concludes the public comment portion of our meeting. And the next item on the agenda is council member comments and announcements. Mr. Aldred. Nothing? Ms. Bolwer? Ms. Null? No. Dr. Bruce? Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I have a couple comments about, I attended a program at CARES this past week, representing the mayor. I appreciate you having an opportunity to be there. Okay, it was a Diwali celebration.
Yes.
And of course, Diwali is celebrated in October, November. It's called the Festival of Lights. It's a major religious festival for the Hindu, Sikh, Jain, and Buddhist community. And they focus on a time of joy, time of togetherness, and a time also to stamp out ignorance in our country. But they all, the key point about the celebration at CARES, they provided about 800 pounds of food for the needy in our city, and which was an excellent example of giving back to our community, the Hindu Sikh community in Farmington Hills. 800 pounds of food for the needy, as well as provided a check for $1,000.
Wonderful.
So I had an opportunity to talk to Todd Lippa, the director over there, and he felt that that was a great contribution for the organization to help meet the needs of the community. Also had an opportunity, Jackie Bower and I, Councilman Bower and I, to attend a conversation at North Park United Methodist Church, a community conversation focusing on race in our community, and it was well attended by a lot of citizens. Got some good feedback from how we're doing in Farmington Hills. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And I wanted to share that this past week I attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors in D.C. for a few days, and it was a, gosh, I'm still processing. We heard from almost all of the cabinet secretaries, from the VP, from the president, just so many things that we could be doing in this city that I'm just so optimistic for. And I look forward to sharing more with the city manager, assistant city manager, and council as the upcoming weeks go by. And I've had a chance to just kind of soak a little bit on what I learned. We've got a fun event that council that we just actually announced this past weekend. It's called Farmington Hills I Still Do. It is a vow renewal for up to 50 couples. And we're doing it in partnership with WNIC on Valentine's Day. So anyone who wishes to renew their vows, who's been married at least 5 years, they're welcome to go to the city website and join the contest. And there's one of the prizes is a dinner at Cafe Cortina. And so upcoming, I'm going to be starting some coffee hours starting in February. Dates are still being landed on, but there will be a coffee hour pretty much once a month. And then there will be that'll be on a Saturday. And then on Tuesday, one Tuesday a month at noon, we're going to do take a walk at the Hawk with the mayor. And so anybody who wants to join me at the Hawk on the track, weather permitting, we'll walk and talk for a little while and continue to hear what's on people's minds. And weather not permitting, we will meet up at the grand staircase and chat for an hour. So those are my updates. And with that, we take it to the city manager update.
Good evening. I'd like to start by first congratulating Carly Lindahl on her appointment to city clerk. I've worked with Carly for many years and know her to be very dependable and conscientious with a strong aptitude for public service. So I look forward to serving with you on behalf of the city. Thank you. I also want to extend a hearty thank you to staff of the public services and special services departments for their efforts related to the winter storms of the past 2 weeks. The city received over 7 inches of snow with 40 street trees falling over a 3-day period. These were somewhat unique challenges, and extensive overtime was incurred as they worked around the clock to ensure safe conditions. And then finally, Sci-Fi Network's representatives continue to host twice-monthly meetings at the Farmington Community Library. The next 2 sessions are scheduled from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. to noon on February 7th and the 21st. They will share information about the high-speed fiber network being constructed citywide. March dates will be announced soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is we have 2 public hearings. The first is a public hearing in consideration to approve the amendment to Planned Unit Development 1, 2020, including revised site plan 56-6-2020. Good evening.
Good evening. Let's see if I can get this open here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Good evening. Charmaine Kettler-Schmaltz, the Director of Planning and Community Development. I'm going to be introducing our next item, which is the public hearing for the rezoning. Oh, I'm on the wrong item. Hold on.
Is that you, Charmaine?
Yeah, here we go.
Shut it off. Okay, thank you.
The public hearing item is the amendment to the PUD Plan Number 1, 2020, including the Site Plan 56-6-2020. So what we have before you this evening is the consideration of an amendment to the PUD plan to allow removal of a small chapel. Excuse, not mine.
Sorry, folks, we have a little bit of a disturbance with someone's cell phone. Okay.
The request is brought forward by Edward Rose and Sons, and it is located at the north side of 11 Mile, behind the Caustic Center. There's a little layout for you. So the order of items tonight will be a review from our planning consultant, Giffords Webster. We will have an opportunity to hear from the proponent of the request, the ability to hold a public hearing, and then deliberation by City Council. I did want to bring to your attention that the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing and voted unanimously for the amendment to the PUD at their last meeting in December. That was a 9-0 vote.
Good evening, Jill Boehm, Giffords Webster, the city's planning consultants. So before you, you have an amendment to a plan unit development. As we've talked about previously, the plan unit development is a tool that allows the city and a developer to agree on a project that advances the city's goals in exchange for some flexibility in the application of our zoning ordinances. This was a project that was approved by the city in 2020. Part of that planned unit development, the agreement that the city has with the developer results in an actual legal binding agreement. When there's a change to the PUD that was approved, there's an option for either a minor change that can be handled at the site plan level or a major change which requires us to go through this process in a little bit more detail. So the Planning Commission had made that finding back in, I believe it was from October, and then pursued along this trail. So really all we do have though is a removal of a small chapel. There's a large chapel on the site and a small chapel on the site. And was everyone able to identify where that is on the plans for the most part?
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. And so there's this small structure. Part of the reasoning behind the going through this process was because of the PUD original agreement in 2020, the findings of some of the structures that were on site and some of the things that were felt to be contributing to the character of the property as it had been developed. But through this amendment process, the Planning Commission had discussed this with the applicant and found that that structure really was not something that was historic to the property. And so again, they had made their motion to recommend the council amend that PUD. So I don't necessarily need to go into detail. I can go into a little bit more if you have questions, but I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. Any questions for council? Okay. Mr. Aldred.
I had one question which I forwarded earlier, which was around the lower portion of this. We can cover this now or later with the developer, which would be more appropriate?
You want to answer that?
The question from you earlier in the email was what was
there's a
happening
there's a parcel, 3.91 acre parcel that was to the
Yes.
south, and it wasn't clear from anything I read what the purpose of that area was, and I just wanted to get that background of what that area was actually, what the intention was for the redevelopment there. So
At this point in time, it is open space. I did have an opportunity to speak with the proponent prior to the meeting this evening. They don't have plans for construction on that space at this time.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, so at this time, I will open the public hearing regarding Plan Unit Development 1, 2020. Anyone wishing to come forward? Seeing no one wishing to come forward, I am now closing the public hearing. And council, what's your pleasure? Motion? Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes,
Prior
Mr.
to the
City
motion,
Attorney?
Madam Mayor, thank you very much, Councilmember Bridges. If there is going to be a motion for approval, as you can see, it refers to the PUD agreement. Just want it to be clear that it would be an amendment to the PUD agreement. We will not create a brand-new PUD agreement. We will just amend the PUD agreement. Just point of clarification.
That'll be part of my motion.
Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I resolve that the application for approval of an amendment to PUD Plan 1/2020 include the revised site plan 56-6/2020 dated October 17, 2023 is granted. And further resolve that the city attorney prepare the appropriate PUD agreement stipulating the final PUD approval condition for the city council consideration and final approval.
Thank you. Is there support? Support. Ms. Knoll? Support. And any further discussion? No.
I just have
Ms. Boulware,
yeah,
please.
Yes. Now, it's my understanding that for this, the tower there, the steeple, that particular building can't be saved. Is that correct? Was that what I heard earlier? And that once it's torn down or demolished, it will be appropriately landscaped to fit in with the rest of the development? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, this is a regular vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, hearing none, unanimous approval. Takes us to item 4, public hearing and consideration of the introduction of an ordinance amending City Code Chapter 34 zoning to amend the official zoning map in order to rezone the property located at parcel ID 123-33-227-001, 002, and 003 from B-1 Local Business District to RA-4 One Family Residential District. This is rezoning request 2-10-2023. Good evening again.
Good evening. Back again, a little preview on the last one. Rezoning request, this is the introduction of the item. There would be a second reading if City Council gives a favorable determination this evening for the enactment. This is the consideration of change of zoning from B1, which is a local business district, to RA4, single-family residential district. The fuller description of each of those categories was included in your City Council packet if you needed a reference. And a clarification from the report, there was conflicting information as to the location being where it was located along 9 Mile. Just for clarification purposes, this is located west of Farmington Road, as indicated on the maps that we have. We do have Giffords Webster here as our planning consultant to give a fuller review if anyone would like to hear that information. I don't know if the proponent, yes, the proponent is here if you have questions or need to hear additional information on the request. And it is a public hearing that was notified for anyone who wanted to speak on that topic this evening.
Okay, so we are talking about the 3 undeveloped lots across the street from the car wash, basically on 9 Mile west of Farmington Road.
West of Farmington Road, that's correct.
Thank you very much. Questions from council before we open the public hearing? Okay, and this time I will open the public hearing. Anyone, member of the public wishing to come forward may do so. At this time, we're welcome, you're welcome to speak to us. I assume you're the proponent.
Good morning, good evening.
Not morning yet. Not morning yet, sir.
Madam President and members of the board, Robert Donovic on behalf of Fortessa Homes, 376, 375 Mile Road. I just want to make myself available if there are any questions. I have a full presentation, but your planning department's been awesome and consultant been great. So I guess to kind of essentially explain what we wanted to do there, but if there's any more questions in the brevity of time, whatever you'd like.
Is council, anyone?
I don't have any questions. I'm very excited. I think that's a great place to put a few single-family homes. It's nice to see there's definitely a demand for single-family homes in the community, folks.
Yep.
Single family, there's a demand.
My only
Say it
question.
again.
Single family, there's a demand.
I may be biased, but I agree.
I know there's single family, there's a demand, but is there any chance of demand for duplexes?
No,
So,
More density.
well, I don't want to get ahead of myself with the planners, but we would love to do duplexes, but there are certain challenges when it comes to zoning and different requirements, what have you, and restraints on lot widths and what have you. But absolutely would love to do some duplexes, so if there's ever an opportunity, we'll definitely jump on those. But to the council member's point, single family, especially in Farmington Hills, is very desirable. And we deliver a good product, first floor brick, nice amenities outside, especially with it being off the main road. You want to have really nice curb appeal, and inside 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, real nice. So if anyone's looking for a new home, come on by. Yeah, we try to do a good product.
And there's single family directly to the west.
Yes, there's single family behind with the matching zoning to the west, and then there's also going to be roughly 8 new homes built down the street from this. So there'll be 10 homes within the next couple of years. We're not associated with the other 8, other maybe 4 houses down, but we do know of those plans coming in the next couple of years, I'd say.
Thank you. Any other council questions, comments? Okay, at this time I will declare the public hearing closed. And council, what's your pleasure?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move to introduce an ordinance amending City Code, Chapter 34, zoning to amend the official zoning map in order to rezone the property located at parcel ID 23332270001, 002, and 003 from B1 Local Business District to RA4 One Family Residential District, rezoning request 2-10-2023.
Support.
Thank you. There's been a motion and support. Any questions before the vote? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Council members Aldred,
Yes.
Olaware,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This takes us to item 5, new business. Consideration of appointment and reappointments to various boards and commissions. Who has a lot of breath?
Here, I'll go.
Okay.
Right.
Councilmember Boulware, please.
Okay, the following members all have terms that will expire on February 1st, 2024, and would like to request to be reappointed to their respective boards and commission. To the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Barry Brickner, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. To the Board of Review, Sean Tobin, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. To the Building Appeals Board, Roberta Nevis, for a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. For the Commission on Children, Youth, and Families, Tanya Nordhaus, who has a 3-year term ending on February 1st, 2027. Roderick Wallace, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. Adam Whitfield, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. To the Commission on Community Health, Eunice Jeffries, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. And Charles Starkman, 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. Reappointment to the Committee to Increase Voter Participation, Susan Brown Samanico, I believe it's Samanico, 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. Dennis Hubbard, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. Don Raymond, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. And Amy Ergus, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. To the Economic Development Corporation, T.R. Carr, a 6-year term ending February 1st, 2030. To the Emergency Preparedness Commission, Roger Avey, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. Also, 3-year terms ending February 1st, 2027 is Mary Ellen Holtby and Joel Sloan. To the Farmington Area Art Commission, 3-year terms ending February 1st, 2027, for Sean Deason and Ted Hatfield. For the Farmington Area Commission on Aging, 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027, Julianne Villani and Catherine Marshall. For the Farmington Hills Beautification Committee, Commission, a 3-year term ending February 1st. I'm going to need some help with the name Gerard. Babu, okay, thank you. For the Fire Board of Appeals, Roberta Nebus, 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. Historical Commission, James Hewlett, 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. And John Scott, also a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. The Historic District Commission all have 3-year terms ending February 1st, 2027. It's Alexander Thompson and John Traffilet. To the Housing Rehabilitation Loan Board, 2-year terms ending February 1st, 2026 is Samuel Ramsey III, John Gorshon, and Tracy Clark. International Property Maintenance Board is Roberta Nebus for a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. Parks and Rec Commission is Wendy Michael, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. Amy Hall, 3 years ending February 1st, 2027. To the Planning Commission, 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027 for Barry Brickner, John Traffilet, and Steve Stimson. For the Water Advisory Council, 2-year term for Catherine Desai, ending February 1st, 2026. Anthony Droughts, 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. And Aaron Cutell, 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. For the Zoning Board of Appeals, Daniel Bergen, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027, and Michael O'Connell, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. And for new appointment, we have a committee to increase voter participation. Reverend Dr. Patricia Coleman Burns, a 3-year term ending February 1st, 2027. She will fill the vacancy, the alternate vacancy. Oh my goodness, I think that's it.
I think that's it. Well, we had all the reappointments.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll wait
yeah.
until there's a second. Is there a second? Okay, thank you. Supported. Just so you know, everyone who was up for reappointment was asked if they wished to continue, and everyone said they wished to continue, and I recommended them all. So there we are. Okay, let's vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, approved. That then takes us to item 6, consideration of a request from Recipes, Inc. for a new Class C quota liquor license to be used at 31110 Haggerty Road in Farmington Hills, Michigan. And let's see.
City Clerk.
City Clerk.
So this application has been routed to all the appropriate departments with no objections. I believe the applicant is here, and maybe let him speak a little bit. He's been waiting quite some time.
Please tell us about Good Brunch. And thank you for your doing business in our city.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. My name is Duke Vu, and we've been blessed to be in business in Farmington Hills on our 15th year. We employ approximately 18 employees, and per request of our customers, we're looking into expanding our business and providing more for our customers. I'm here to answer any questions you may have and anything I can answer.
Yeah. Do we have a motion?
Quick question for you.
Yes.
Okay, questions then.
I've never been in your restaurant. I'm going to go though, but I'm sorry. I apologize. What do you specialize in?
We specialize in breakfast and lunch, but we have a variety of like Asian dishes also from our culture.
Okay.
But our main thing is breakfast.
Breakfast? And you're located at 14 in Haggerty?
Yes, on Haggerty, south of
Oh,
14th.
that's by CVS Pharmacy and that kind of
Yes,
thing.
just.
I got you now. Okay, I'm gonna be there. I'm come by and check you out. I will.
Michael, we'll have to go to breakfast. All right, any other questions?
No, great.
Okay, how about a motion? Please. Yeah, Dr. Bruce?
Yes, I would move the approval of the request from Recipes, Inc. for a new Class C quota liquor license to be used at 31110 Haggerty Road, Farmington Hills, Michigan.
Okay, to be issued from our quota of licenses
Yes.
available? Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and supported. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmembers Aldred,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Knoll,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Bridges.
Yes.
And Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for sitting through the whole meeting. You got to see some democracy in action tonight. Any additions to the agenda, please? Okay, seeing none, there being no further business to bring before us, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn, Mr. Aldred.
So moved.
Support? Anyone? Supported by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Good night, Farmington Hills. We'll see you February 5th.